So the question is, do you need this, like a set of ND filters to go on your DJI Osmo Pocket 3? Some people say it's overkill, some people say it's just a waste of money. And for some, it could be a waste of money. And the reason why is because how you use your camera is going to determine what accessories are going to benefit you and what accessories are just going to slow you down and weigh you down. If you want to get a more professional look out of your camera, then there are certain tools that you are going to want to have in your arsenal, and ND filters falls in that line. And this is the case with any camera. If you're just using the camera to just vlog, you don't care about balance, highlights, midtones, and shadows, and you just want to get your story across, then something like this may slow you down, because you're going to have to put these filters on the front, and you're going to have to be looking at your exposure, you're going to be looking at white balance, and you're going to be setting up your shots, and you're going to be taking the time to make sure things are the way you want them to be, versus a person who just is running and gunning, is what they call it. You throw up your camera, or you carry your camera, and you just shoot. Now, there's nothing wrong with either of those approaches, but I will say this: if your approach is to get better picture quality and you want to have a more professional look, and by professional, I mean a controlled look, a look to where every part of your picture, from the framing to the storytelling to the way that it looks, is exactly the way you want it to be, then there are some necessary tools that you are going to want to have. And one of those is a set or a pack of ND filters. Now, in this pack, they're not just ND filters, also have CPL filters as well. Now, if you don't know what any of this stuff is, then that's okay. But if you want to know what it is, then I'll explain it really quickly. So an ND filter just stands for neutral density filter. And all it means in a nutshell is that when you put this filter on the front of your lens, anything that's coming into the lens will be cut down as far as your exposure. So your shadows are going to get darker, your midtones are going to get darker, and your highlights are all going to get darker. It's almost as if you are adjusting your other settings, like your ISO or your shutter speed. Only thing with this is this doesn't affect shutter speed, and this doesn't affect blur. All this does is just cut down the light. Now, with the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, since it doesn't have an aperture on it that you can control, it's fixed at 2.0. But the thing with adjusting your aperture is it doesn't just control the amount of light that comes in, but it also controls your depth of field. If you have something close to the lens and you're at f2, then what's behind you is going to be blurred out. And if you go to f8, then everything is going to be in focus, you and what's behind you. And as you go up in your scale, then things are going to all be in focus. Now, I don't want to get off track with this. So you see, just by talking about these filters, you introduce a whole new world of information, of different terms, and you're counting stops of light, and you're halving and you're doubling, and you're looking at all these fractions, and it gets really detailed. And there's nothing wrong with being detailed in the film world. I think some of the best stuff comes from when people are detailed. But just know that this isn't something you need to have to get going. But if you want to take your game to the next level, I highly recommend getting this pack of ND filters. Now, the reason why I like these Freewell ones here is because they sent me a little sticker, and I'm going to show you what that sticker says. So check this out. Look at this card here. So this card here actually teaches you or prompts you to learn things. It says, what is ISO? What is shutter speed and how it affects your footage? What is aperture? What is frame rate? Motion blur for cinematic video? Nighttime shooting, why you need to use filters for your videos, how to shoot time-lapse, drones, cinematic moves, and cinematic camera moves. If you scan this QR code here, it will take you to that information. And then there's an installation guide here that shows you the right way to orient these filters onto your actual gimbal here. This is the filter pack that Freewell sent me for the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And as you can see, there are 14 different filters here. And each of these filters has a reason for being here. Obviously, you know that. This one here is going to be your light pollution filter for astrophotography. This here is going to be your quarter mist filter. So I use this in some of the shots that you saw there. And if you look at the bottom, you'll see on the screen which filter I'm using. Now these here, these adjustable filters, are ND filters with polarizing filters as well. So you get an ND 8, you get an ND 16, you get an ND 32, an ND 64, and then you just get a standalone circular polarizer right here. Now these other filters here, these go from basically, I believe 8 all the way up to 1000. So let me turn around. If you look on the bottom side here, we have 64, 32, 16, 8, 1000, 256, and 128 there. So you should have enough filters in this pack here to cover just about all of your needs. If you don't, you can stack these filters too, but I haven't had to go through that yet. I really love these filters. I'm gonna post a video that I shot with filters that they gave me for my other lens. So I have another Freewell, and I'll post a video to that and you can see the review. But basically the way these work is they cut down on the total amount of light that's coming into your camera's lens. And the polarizer, what that does is that stops the reflections. So if you have if you're recording cars and you want to get a clean look on the car, you can just turn the circular polarizer here and it'll take away the reflection. Now the good thing about these here, these sets of 4, these again are dual. So you have the ND plus the CPL built in all in one. One thing that people say they don't like is the fact that when you put these filters on and you try and close or turn off the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, the lens doesn't tuck itself away. And that's the case with these. These are too thick to do that. But it's built into the actual Osmo to turn itself back around. Now, some people may say, well, the lens isn't protected, but you have this filter on here, so the filter is protected. I also recommend getting a different case than the one that comes with the Osmo, just for extra protection. There are other cases out there as well, but I have this case right here, which I think is a very good case. And I put this in my other video as well, but this is the case that I use and it has done pretty well. The other thing with these filters, a lot of people ask, does it do a color cast? I haven't noticed it yet. I know in some cases, depending on how the light is shining, it can put a little color cast on there. But I think the workaround for that is to just do a white balance after you put your ND filter on. And after you do that with a gray card, then you should be good to go after that. But I haven't had any problems matching footage with my Sony FX30 with this DJI Osmo Pocket 3 with any of these filters on there. So overall, I think these are good. And not just because they sent it to me, but I use a Freewell on my other ones as well. All right, welcome to the color portion of the video. I think this is one of the most important parts, simply because when you get all of your lighting and your exposure and your framing together, this is going to glue everything together. So if you do really good on the front end, you can really mess everything up on the back end, or you can make it beautiful on the back end. So I'm gonna show you how I got this shot, and I might do another shot as well. So I'm just gonna work through my nodes and show you what I have. Now, if you don't know this, even though the Osmo Pocket 3 does shoot in D-Log-M, that D-Log-M is actually a Rec 709. I'm gonna show you. So if you look at this input node here and I go into effects, I have my input color space going as DJI D-Gamut. And then my gamma is Rec 709. And then I go into a DaVinci Y Gamut color space, and then I go DaVinci Intermediate Gamma. After I go from Rec 709 into DaVinci Wide Gamut, then I do all of my corrections, my white balance, luma, color, skin, vignette, and then I go back out on this node. And again, remember, I went into the DaVinci Wide Gamut color space, and then my gamma input is the intermediate, and then I'm coming out, this is my final picture. I'm coming out color space Rec 709, and then my gamma is Rec 709A because I'm on a Mac. So that's just my node workflow here. I'm gonna go through these and show you how I got this look. I'm gonna go ahead and turn all of these off. This is what it looks like when you bring the footage directly into the computer after I've went through my DaVinci Wide Gamut. And then this is what we're looking like. So we have your input node over here, and then you have your output node. So the first thing I did was add my white balance. Now I tried to get this in camera pretty good, but it was a little bit off. It was like an overcast day, so the skies were a little bit blue, and you can see that here. And I just used the color picker here to click on the blinds, and this gave me this bluish look. So I kind of like that. So you're gonna see a little bit later, I'm gonna show you what I did. So with Luma, I kind of just brought everything down. If you look at the vector scope or my waveform over here, you can see I'm pretty much a little bit in the mid-range, and I'm just in the shadows a lot because this was a darker shot. And the highlights here are just gonna be the blinds. I didn't do a lot here. I didn't even mess with curves. I just came into my color wheels here under HDR, and under global, I just brought my exposure down here, and that gave me this look. Now, the next thing I did was with my color. So I came in the color, and I just kind of enhanced that blue look I was getting because of the overcast sky. And I just did that just coming into my color wheels, and just in the lift over here, you can see I just pushed it slightly over into the blue, and that's what gave me this. Now, one of the things that you want to do when you're working with colors like this, if you adjust your colors like global settings, you're going to change all the hues and everything in your picture. So you can see my face is blue and things like that. Now, if you want that, that's fine, because sometimes there are color casts, but in this situation, the blinds aren't blue, they're white. So I wanted to kind of maintain my skin tone, and I think it makes it pop a little. So what I did was I came in here and I created a mask, and you can see just that pop of color in there. And that I just came in here and I used my my qualifier tool, and I just selected my face, and this is what it looks like when you see what part of the skin is selected. And this is, so everything that's dark here is gonna be what's affected by my color wheels down here. And you can see I just added a little bit of my skin tone back in here, and that makes really a big difference. I make this full screen so you can see. So that's without, and that's with, without, and that's with. It's just the subtle things like that that can make a huge difference and make things pop. So that's what I did there. Now, I had a vignette on here too. It's very slight, you can barely see it, but it's just enough to give it a little, I'll full screen it, and you could just see it with, without, with, and just around these here. It kind of just brings the focus in on here. And the focus actually, when we're talking about the focus, is actually on these little cords, not on my eyes, but my eyes are back there. But it just gives it depth. So these are in front of my eyes, and then you can see these are brighter than my eyes, and then my eyes are a little bit darker. So that just gives it depth in there. And I think that shot is one of my favorite shots in this whole thing. And then I'm just going to the output node. So again, that's what I did with this particular shot. Nothing spectacular, nothing that over the top. This shot here, I did a little bit of the same. I didn't show you this, but I may in another video. So we kind of, let me just start from scratch again. So this is what the shot looks like coming out of the camera using the same Rec 709 into DaVinci Wide Gamut back into Rec 709. Now what you may not realize about this shot is this light behind me here. You see these streaks on the wall? These are actually artificial. These aren't real. So the light that's coming in from this window, it looks like it's casting this on the wall, but it's not. It's really only affecting this right here and a little bit of this railing. This is actually a scrim that I have over the window. But I have this practical light here, which is just the Godox light. I'll put it in the description below. it's a little color light that I use for practical. You can see the laptop over here. I just put that there just for some color. This light on my ear here is actually a light that I have. It's a blow up light. I'm gonna be doing a review on that light too. It's just it puts a soft shadow, or not a shadow, but it puts a soft light right here on the side, and it kind of just melds all of this together. Now in this form right here, it may not look like it matches, but I'm gonna show you again why coloring after the fact makes a huge deal. So I go in with my white balance, and this is what it gave me. So without the white balance, with the white balance, and you can see they just tied all the lighting together. So what's coming in the window and what's hitting me on the side of the face is kind of matching. So let's go to the next one here. So the next was my Luma. Now I made this really dark because I wanted it to be really moody. Maybe I could have brought it up a little bit, but I like it. You can see I just brought everything down, but the highlights that are on the side of my neck, you can see the practical still sticking out there, the laptop screen, and those artificial lights that I put up there are still kind of peeking through. The next thing I did was, again, I like to add to that bluish look because this was the same day. It was a little bit overcast, so I just kind of pulled that together and everything kind of turned blue. So you can see how that looks here. It kind of brings all of the different lighting sources together. My practical still has that kind of more warmer tone to it, which I like. So then my skin, you can see I brought my skin back into it again. It's just subtle, very subtle, but it just kind of brings the whole picture back together. And then a subtle vignette. Now, I think in the actual one that I put on here, I don't think I used the vignette because I think it took away from the lighting that I did here. So I think I actually left it out, and it kind of brought my laptop screen down farther than what I wanted. So I think for me, this is a workflow that I use with the DJI just because it's really easy. It grades well, and it doesn't take a lot of bandwidth because it is a Rec 709 image. And again, I think if you get your lighting right, if you get your focus right, if you get your framing right, when you bring it in here, you have a lot more to work with. If you keep everything balanced, and things like the Pro Mist filter, your ND filters are gonna be the things that help you to get the look that you're looking for. Now, I will say that this takes time to get to this point. You're not gonna just throw up some lights haphazardly and get an image that you're pleased with. It's gonna take a while to get it. This shot right here, I wanna say it probably took me 30 minutes, and I'll show you, I might insert some footage here. What I actually did was my wife had bought some paper online, and I took the cardboard top from that box that it came in, and I cut 2 slits in it, and I just shined my light through it, which created these little marks up here. And I wanted to, at first I was trying to simulate the blinds look, but when I did it, I actually liked this look better than the tiny little slits. So it's little things like that. When you experiment with them and you just kind of keep working with what you have, you'll start to learn lighting, and you'll start to kind of develop a workflow that works best for you. I might go over book lighting and that sort of thing, but like I said, this shot probably just with the lighting took me 30 minutes to set up, and then color grading it maybe another 15 minutes, and then just setting up the shot with the camera maybe another 10 minutes. So this altogether could almost be an hour of work just for this one shot that's on the screen for maybe 2 seconds or 5 seconds. So when you start to do stuff like this, you really have an appreciation for when you watch like a long movie or a long show, just the amount of time that it takes to get a shot. But all this can be done if you have the right tools. That's why I highly recommend these Freewell filters here. If you want to control your lighting, and if you want to take your footage to the next level, again, I'm going to leave a link to all of this stuff below so you can see it. If you have questions about this, suggestions, or whatever it may be, put it in the comments below. I try to respond to as many people as I can. But yeah, just put your questions below and let me know what you think. But until next time, I'll holler at y'all later. I'm out. Peace.